The debt management office came out yesterday to say, look, the way that we're going about our debt, it would be hard to sustain. Already, the debt burden would be left at over 40 trillion naira if this administration leaves office. We're going to do a bit of an analysis and understanding, what we're coming from when it comes to the debt from 1999. We call that during the Obasanjo administration. We got a lot of debt relief, from the borrowers, and within 21 years, we've gone from that level where we had just about 2 trillion naira in debt in 2007 to about 40 trillion naira. That's a lot. That is a lot of debt. Now, the question would be, for you, those of you who are going to vote in 2023, if you're not voting, I don't know why you're not voting. I don't know why you didn't get registered. I don't know why you're not interested, because this is about you. Many have said 2023 is about survival. The survival of Nigeria and the survival of Nigerians. It's a battle, to see that Nigeria survives. And so every hand should be on deck to ensure that Nigeria survives, that we have the right persons, we have the right, a round peg and a round hole in 2023. With all of this, with a debt profile of Nigeria, going up to over 40 trillion naira by the end of this administration, the next person who's going to take over the helms or the reins of power needs to be someone who can manage our debts. I heard someone say, look, the Buhari administration or the APC administration may not be able to renegotiate debt and all that stuff. I don't want to know, right? All I want to know is, would the next president be able to run this country with the level of debts that we have, and also be able to bring us out of this debt as quick as possible? Now, looking at the debt profile, it may take us the next 30, 40 years, to be able to pay this. At this point, we're struggling to service the debt. We're really struggling at that. Debt servicing is an issue because our debt service to revenue ratio is about 90%. It's a tough one. Would your next president, the person that you think has the capacity to turn around this country, would he be able to run an economy that's indebted, that may not be able to, source more loans because international lenders are saying, look, you've hit your debt ceiling? In a situation where this administration has gone against the Finance Act and also the CBN Act, in the ways and means, borrowing window, which says that the federal government can borrow at least 3% of GDP in comparison to the GDP. If we've gone against all of that, how do we fix this economy? Would your next president, the person who you think is right to lead this country, would he be able to run a country like this? That's the question you need to ask yourself, and also ask them, rather than just pander to whatever it is that they're selling, because a lot of them are selling now. Politicians, this is their time to sell. And you're seeing a lot of, you're probably going to see a lot of defections in the next few days or the next few weeks. People are going to be defecting, moving to other parties. When they come to you, are you asking the right questions, or you're just about your ethnicity and your religion? Is that what it is for you? Because if that's what it is, I'm sorry, you're making a very big mistake. You're making a big mistake. If a person of another religion or another ethnicity has the capacity to run this country, and you deprive Nigeria of a good person, you're not hurting Nigeria, you're not hurting other people, you're hurting yourself and your children's children. Think about that, because a lot of politicians will be coming to you, and they're already coming to you. They're already speaking to you, trying to convince you and woo you to vote them in. Are you going to vote your conscience, or are you going to vote money? Are you going to vote the highest bidder by selling your votes to the person who pays more? or are you going to give your vote to the one who is from your ethnic stock, or who professes the same faith as you, the same faith as you? Is that what you're planning to do? If that's what you're planning to do, I beg of you, I beg of you, have a rethink. When they come, will they be lying to you? Do you know the truth? Are you going to be asking the valid questions? Because they would still come. All right, join the conversation now. You're on to Eagles Outlook on your radio experience. You can count on. We're looking at the 2023 election, but this time around, some of the things popping up. We're seeing engagements by presidential candidates across going across the countries, going to other countries and engaging and speaking to them, speaking to maybe Nigerians living in that country, because I don't know, are we still a country under captivity? Are we still a country that's still under colonial rule? Because it seems like it. Every time we have an election year, you have Nigerian politicians and candidates running to other countries. Does that actually speak of us as a sovereign nation? I'd love to hear from you. Some of the things you said, I'm gonna take us up on some of those things that IG Novel said. First off, the reducing the cost of governance, talking about maybe making legislature unicameral rather than the bicameral legislation that we have now. In that case, how do we go about doing this? Because when people talk about restructuring this country, a lot of us don't even understand what it would take. Because if, for instance, would we have to, the same people, the National Assembly has to, they make the laws, right? Would they scrap themselves to say, let's scrap ourselves and bring in new people? If we have to write a new constitution to change, all of that stuff, maybe change the system of government, would we be able to put down another constitution? How do we go about this? How long would it take? Would we be able to suspend the constitution and have an interim government? Wouldn't that just be a lot? That would mean that even if the elections in 2023 holds, we would have to suspend governance and suspend the constitution and then bring in an interim government. Who would be willing to do that? Do you see any of these politicians are willing to do something like that? We need somebody. Whoever that somebody is not going to find it easy. That's the bottom line. That's the fact. Whoever that person is, with the way that things are, the person is not going to find it easy. So, when Mayoma says, prepare your mind and prepare yourself for it, we've been very patient, true. But then maybe we need to be more patient. Maybe we need to understand some more and, exercise a bit more restraint when it comes to, just accusing them and hoping that they hit the ground running and we say, oh, this person is too slow and all that stuff. Maybe we need to prepare ourselves for the tougher days ahead. Who knows? Because with the way that things are, would you want the next president to also go about borrowing and looking at the fact that we're already in a danger zone? If the DMO says, look, it would be hard for us to sustain the level of debt that we have, then we're probably already in the danger zone. 2023, what would that bring? Would it bring any change? Would one person be able to change that? It's all on us. Everyone suffers. Everyone would have to make certain sacrifices. So are you ready for that kind of sacrifice ahead of 2023? Because if this administration manages the whole situation, we've even started talking about subsidy removal, which is supposed to take place by June next year. If subsidy is removed, we're already dealing with so much at the moment. When subsidy is removed, how would we manage? Thank you very much. Thank you again for calling IG. Now let's do a bit of analysis. Looking at the situation and how it's grown from from about 3.2 to 3.55 trillion naira in 1999. How our debt has grown, exponentially in the last 21 years. Now recall that during the Obasanjo tenure, the debt was reduced. Our debt was gravely reduced, and by the end of 2007, our debt profile was just about 2.42 trillion naira by the end of 2007. Now, with all of this, the analysis would show you that, well, the external debt reduced while the external debt reduced drastically. You know, the domestic component actually rose to 2.17 trillion naira within the same period. So, well, it would show you that somehow the government was still borrowing, even though we had gotten some level of debt relief. Now, let's go to the Yaradua Jonathan era, and where there was a bit of more borrowing around that time. Now, that Yaradua Goodluck Jonathan government between 2007 and 2011, domestic debt for the federal government moved from 2.17 trillion naira to about 5.62 trillion naira. The foreign component of the debt also increased from $2.11 billion to $3.5 billion within that period. So the combined debt profile increased from 2.42 trillion naira to about 6.17 trillion naira in 4 years. That was a big jump, a big jump from 2.17 trillion naira. Now, when the Jonathan administration actually, fully took power in 2011, this time around, the government's accumulated debt rose to about 6.17 trillion naira. That was the debt. That's where it stood at the beginning of the Jonathan administration. Now, you would also realize that by the end of 2015, the foreign debt component hit $7.3 billion, while the domestic component increased by 8.4 trillion naira. At that time, the exchange rate was about 197 naira to a dollar. Now, going to the Buhari administration. On external borrowing, President Buhari increased debt from 7.3 billion dollars in 2015 to about 28.57 billion naira as of December 2020. This means that the Buhari administration, within that period, from 2015 to 2020, which is about 5 years, incurred a 21.27 billion naira foreign loans to the country's debt profile. Now that has gone up again. Now we're talking about $101 billion. So at this point, in general, it would not be easy, like Mayowa said, but many other Nigerians have said, it would not be easy. This is, for me, a call to say, no Messiah is coming. All right? No Messiah is coming who's just going to wave a magic wand and things will change, irrespective of who you support. The task ahead is difficult. So it means that you need a dogged person who would be able to stand firm in the midst of the turbulence, because it seems like we're going to experience more turbulence even in 2023, more than we're currently experiencing. With food insecurity and the likes, with the ASU problem unsolved, with insecurity unsolved, the president has given a deadline of December 31. If that doesn't happen, because judging by the past promises and orders, what if this is not also fulfilled? Again, Nigerians, do your due diligence, ask the right questions, ensure that whoever it is that you're voting in 2023 has the capacity to change things and work with the existing situation, work around it to bring us to a better place as a nation. The debt is one. There's insecurity. There's education is failing. There's a lot. If you're tackling the economy, you have to also tackle the educational sector, fix that. You also have to fix insecurity. All of these for one man. And I hope that you understand that it's an enormous task. Like everyone has said, Nigerians, prepare yourself. Also, be able to put hands on deck and make sacrifices as necessary for us to build a better country. When it comes to, we talk about, reducing the cost of governance. I like what the IG said. Look, when we have all of these government functionaries with multiple cars and Nigeria paying for their basic stuff that they should be paying for, then maybe we're not ready. But do what you can. Again, I would ensure I would, if I were you, I would make sure that I'm healthy on election day, that my health is a priority. I would eat good food and ensure that I am well. With the weather that's changing, by the way, um, some of you may begin to experience different forms of fevers and all. Ensure that you get yourself tested and don't self-medicate. Don't treat yourself. Don't go and see a professional. Make sure that at least a pharmacist or a doctor prescribes medication for you. All right. Ensure that you do that. Don't just go and start treating yourself just because you feel you have a fever. You go to the patent medicine seller and tells him to give you one anti-malaria or something. Don't do that. Ensure that you get tested and ensure that you're treating the right ailment. All right. Do well for yourself. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. December is not a deadline. Don't forget. We would get to 2023 and we'll be able to cast our votes, but you need to be healthy while you do that. So eat right, sleep well, and ensure that you're doing well, mind, body, and everything. All right. Keep it here on your radio experience. You can count on. There's going to be business news right after now, and then 1023 Extra with Mother. Keep it locked here. My name is Ihe Natural Prince, His Radio Highness of Abuja.